Hello, and welcome to Marius's Magery. This is your host, Marius Darkwolf. This week in this episode, we're going to cover a couple more things than we did last week. Last week, you'll remember we made the Nitor, one of the magical lights, and we also made our magical tallow candles. This week, we're going to cover 3 to 4 things. Specifically, we're going to cover Alumentium, which is a magical fuel. It's kind of the magical equivalent of coal coke. It's also an explosive, so it's kind of cool there. We're also going to be making a Thaumometer, which is the magical compass, as well as Thaumium, which is the magical metal. Now, to get to Thaumium, we actually do have to touch on transmutation a little bit, which is kind of has a broken mechanic, but we'll go over that when it's time. All right, now to begin, since we are going to be making something that is a magical explosive to a degree, we're going to go ahead and try starting with gunpowder. Gunpowder has a newer aspect that we haven't run into yet called fractus. It's the aspects of destruction and breaking. Now let's go ahead and start. Now you'll notice this does also have ignis in it, and yes, this is our Alumentium. And there is a third aspect that we don't have yet that's not contained in the gunpowder. Since it is a fuel, what we're going to be looking at is coal to see if it is the potentia aspect that we need as well. And it looks like that is what we needed. All right. Now we look at this and it says the substance throbs with a fiery energy and it is more than eager to release that energy at the slightest bump. It may be unstable, but it would probably make a good source of fuel. Now when we look a little bit further into that on the Thaumonomicon, we see that it is probably not a good idea to throw against a solid surface unless you like explosions. Now we do craft this in the crucible. It takes 3 fractus. It takes 6 each of ignis and potentia. Now, we could use gunpowder to do this because gunpowder has both fractus and ignis, but it's not a good idea because those are equal and it doesn't have the potentia. Now, since it takes 5V to make, we can make up to 10 at a time with our current wand. What I am going to show you is the best materials to use for this. So we're going to come over here to a chest that I've gone ahead and pre-prepared things with. And we're of course going to grab some coal. Now coal has ignis in both both ignis and potentia at 2 each. So 3 coal will make our 6. And you'll notice that cobblestone also has the fractus, and of course cobblestone we get anywhere relatively simply. Let's go ahead and put that in our hotbar. So 30 of each will meet the 10 requirement that the Alumentium has. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our wand real quick. Now we're going to go ahead and chuck these into the crucible. That is one of the dangers. You got to make sure you actually get it into the water and not bounce it off the side. And let's make sure that's all of it. And it is good. And we're going to go ahead and chuck the rest in. Now we of course right click with our wand, and now we have our Alumentium, which is right there. Now what we're going to do is I've actually got a furnace set up over here that I set up between episodes with some iron ore that I had managed to macerate as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put one piece of alumentium in there, and we're going to see how that fares on the stack. Now the next thing that we're going to research is we are going to go ahead and research our Thaumometer. Now, since it is the equivalent of a magical compass, we're going to have to know some things. And knowledge is from cognitio. Now, you'll also notice that both the cognitio aspect and the aqua aspect here have a little glittery number by them, a 5 and a 1 respectively. What that means is that there is something in the environment, in the aura node that I'm in, that is improving those aspects by that amount. Anytime you see that, that means that you can add that number to the baseline number that it's listed already to give you how much of that aspect is there. This is good to know for crafting, so that you don't accidentally use too much when you're adding it into your crucible. We also have a couple newer aspects, which is Messius, which is crops and harvest. We won't really get into that until the next level, as well as Bestia, which is animals and beasts. Now, I love bookcases for the cognitio aspect because they're relatively inexpensive and they have a really, really high level of cognitio. And as you can see, that makes researching it so much faster. Now, some of the other things that we're going to need is what we're going to need a source of magic, of course. In this case, we're going to use one of our shards, in this case the water shard. You'll notice that that's got two of the magic aspect. And let me go ahead and show you that real quick. That is, in this case, it's got 3 because of the atmosphere. In this case, that is the percanto aspect. This also has another new aspect called gelum, as well as one called vitreous, which is crystal, and the aqua that we saw a moment ago. Now, gelum or gelum is cold, ice, and frost. It is the essence of cold, really, so makes sense. So we're going to go ahead and research this, and this is going to give us our percanto, our magic. Okay, we're almost there. Does take a little bit, of course. Alright, and there we go. Now, the third thing is yet another new aspect, the aspect of machina, making, machinery, since we are actually going to be making a device. Now, you're probably wondering what a good source of machina is, and honestly, you can get it out of redstone, but you can also get it out of nickelite. Nickelite is probably your best all-around source for it, because unless you use a lot of red power, you're not going to be doing much with nickelite. But you get a lot of the nickelite dust out of the ores that you find, and there's usually a fair amount of ores in any seam of nickelite. So we're going to go ahead and research this. And nickelite is, as you can see, also a decent source of the potentia aspect as well. Okay. Okay. The Thaumometer. You believe this mystical device will point you in the direction of nearby sources of mystical energy. Basically, the magic compass. And what it does is it helps you to find nodes. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at the Thaumometer, and we're going to see in the Thaumonomicon, and we see that it does point you towards the center of the nearest magical aura, acts like a magical compass, and it also says that you are confident you will be able to craft more refined devices in the future, allowing you to discover more information about aura nodes. But for now, this will have to do. What that is saying, basically, is that the Thaumometer is an ingredient in a future device that we can use. And as you can see, it is really simple to make. It is simply 4 gold bars in a cross around a water shard. And it does take 20V, and you make it on the arcane work table. You'll also notice that because there is nothing down at the bottom of the page, that means you don't need any additional aspects. So let's go ahead and craft this really quick. We're going to come over here to our arcane work table. And we're going to go ahead and since it is going to be an ingredient in a future device, we're going to make 2 of them. Which just takes a mo. Alright, now you'll notice that it does not currently have anything over here, even though it should, because we've shown the crafting. What that means is that we actually do have to have the wand in the arcane table to make this. Now, these devices do not stack. Okay, so we're going to pull that out, and we're going to go ahead and grab our wand as well. Okay, now the other thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at transmutation. Now, the transmutation is broken. The mechanics for it are kind of broken. What that means is at the point where you have researched all of the transmutation breakdowns, you can't really pick what you want to have. You can transmute some of the other metals into straight gold, but transmuting, say, iron to silver or to lead or to copper, or transmuting those others to iron or each other, is nearly impossible because the elements are so closely intertwined and they're so close to each other. So it's, unless they can fix the mechanic, I don't intend on covering too much of it. If you guys want me to, I will. That's not a problem. I'll even show you what I mean by it's broken. But I don't want to cover it too much because there's not as much point to it. Now, because we do have to have at least a basic transmutation to get beyond and to actually get to our Thaumium, we're going to hit that really quick. Now, that is a transmutation of silver or of base metals to gold. And as you can see, there is a new material called Charis, a new aspect, which is expensive, precious, or valuable. I'm going to go ahead and research this real quick. Now, Charis, as you can see, it's actually picking that up relatively quickly. And Charis is, you can get a good source of that from any of the gems, like copper, or not copper, excuse me, but like the rubies, diamonds, of course, either the sapphires, emeralds. Now, we've maxed out Charis, and since the other aspect is metallum, and we can get that off of iron, I don't want to waste gold. So we're going to go ahead and check our iron in there. We're going to go ahead and finish that out real quick. And that brings us to our newest aspect, which is Permutio. That's the one with the little double arrows right here. Permutio, which is the aspect of change. Now there are a couple really good sources of Permutio that are easily renewable. And those are seeds and, oddly, eggs. Eggs actually have more Permutio than seeds do, but eggs are also a little bit more valuable, I suppose, because you can use those to make chickens. And seeds are, of course, really, really easy to come by. But eggs, as you can see, actually do have a higher proportion of the Permutio aspect. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and research this. By studying the rudiments of alchemy and the properties of metals, you think you may have stumbled upon a way to transform base metals into gold. Okay, and we're going to look at our Thaumonomicon, and you'll see that that's unlocked our Thaumium, which we haven't really gotten to yet. Now, the basic transformation of base metals into gold. You are now able to transform basic metal like iron into golden nuggets. The transformation is not without a cost and a loss, however, but one can never have too much gold, can one? What that means is you've got to chuck something that's got to have at least 1 carat with 2 metallum, and that gives you 2 gold nuggets. So if you chucked in 4 carats and a bit of iron, for however much V that was, that would be 20 V, you would get some gold nuggets. So basically chuck in a bit of iron, something that's got 8 carats, and you get almost enough to make a gold bar, because you only get 2 nuggets. So it's a net loss overall. And now we're going to come to my personal favorite material, and that is going to be the Thaumometer. Or excuse me, Thaumium. Thaumium is the magical metal, and you can make anything out of it that you can make out of iron, and it's a lot more enchantable. Now, this is a part where I mentioned directed research. What we're going to do is we're going to use something that has the percanto aspect, but not any aspects of anything else, so that we should be able to lead it straight to where we want. Okay, we're going to make sure that what we're looking for has the percanto. There we go. Now it's still an unnamed theory, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull out the chiseled sandstone. Now, chiseled sandstone is a good source of it. Now we're going to put our iron in there, because we're going for the metal, and we're going to see if that takes, or if we're getting something else. And that looks like that is what we needed. And yep, that is our Thaumium. So we're going to go ahead and complete the metal aspect, and I'm going to go ahead and explain why I like chiseled sandstone as a source of percanto, because it actually has a moderate amount of it. It's just a little bit, but it's a good source of it, because it's one of the cheapest materials to make. That's a source of it. It's one of the cheapest things other than having to go mining, because you'd simply take regular sand, you compress it, or you put 4 together to get sandstone. You put 3 sandstone next to each other, that gives you the sandstone slabs, and then you put 2 sandstone slabs atop each other, and that gives you your chiseled sandstone. It's not a high source of it, as you can see. Baseline, it's just 1 percanto, but you add an extra one in there. And this in this particular environment. Now, this also has the permutatio aspect to it, because we are changing regular metal into the magical mystical metal. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our Thaumium notes. And we're going to look at them. And I went a bit fast on that one. But basically what it was saying is right here, Thaumium is the result of infusing base metals with raw magical energy. The result is a metal harder than iron with the ability to accept enchantments beyond that which iron is normally capable of. A material such as this has many applications in the crafting of more advanced thaumaturgical devices. It can also be used to craft tools, arms, weapons, and armor in a crafting table using the normal recipes. How you make it is you chuck in 8 metallium with 4 per canto into the crucible and then apply 5V, and that gives you however many you're going for. Now in this case, this is what it means by you use it just like you do iron. You can make your sword, your pick, you can make your axe, your shovel, you can make the hoe, the helmet, all the different armor that is, chest, legs, and boots. It's just the same. Now, one of the things I love, love, love about Thaumium is it is the only material that will take the repair enchant, which is, I admit, a level 30 enchant. But repair and repair 2, which are both level 30, give you, they completely heal the armor or the tool that you're using or the weapon that you're using, which means as long as you don't die, you can keep using that same tool as long as you don't let it, as long as you give it a rest before it breaks. Now we're going to go ahead and get the water into the cauldron or the crucible so that it's got a chance to boil while we go get our materials. Now, as I said, I went ahead and pre-stacked. Now, looking at some of the things, remember, we have an additional per canto here, but we're going to go ahead and do it this way anyway. I'm going to grab enough to make a few. I'm going to grab enough to make about 30 pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and stick some of the stuff that we're not going to use more of back in here. Okay. Now we do need our wand. Now one of the things I want to go over with you guys is there is in addition to your regular aura, which is where you get your V from. There's also when you dump stuff that you're not using into the atmosphere, aspects of something that you're not using, it creates flux, which is, for all intents and purposes, the magical pollution. And you can get weird things happening if there's too much flux in the atmosphere. And you'll probably see some of those in a little before too long, because we are covering everything. Now let's go ahead and get up here. And we're going to go ahead and chuck in. And this is one reason I pre-stack, is because it lets you just throw the entire whatever you've got in the hotbar in there without having to count too much. You've already done all your counting. And you'll notice that as we throw stuff in there, it actually raises the water level. Now we're going to go ahead and throw in our iron. And then we're going to hit it with our wand. And that gives us our Thaumium. Now, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and make a few bits of this because I actually do want to make an entire suit and some armor out of it, or some weapons and tools out of it. So, give me just a second. Alright, and that's actually got our Thaumium made. Now, one of the neat things about Thaumium is once you've actually made it in the Crucible, you don't have to use the Arcane Workbench to craft it. You craft it right in the regular workbench. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make, as I said, I'm going to make some basic tools out of it. We're going to go ahead and get our pick. Now, I do like Thaumium in addition to just the fact that it's so enchantable, and you can keep it pretty much forever if you get that repair enchant. But you can also, if I'm remembering correctly, a Thaumium pick can actually mine, obsidian, which means you don't have to hunt for those 3 diamonds. You can get your research, and bam, you can start making your stuff. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make a full set of armor. Okay, there's our pants. There's our helmet. And if I had a stick, we'd have enough left over for a shovel. Alright. And that's what it looks like. Okay. And that is what we look like in our Thaumium armor. Now, you'll notice that our furnace has stopped cooking, so let's see how much of the Alumentium that actually took up, or how much the Alumentium actually cooked. Let's go ahead and look on that. And that actually did a half stack. So it's a lot more efficient than coal coke or any of the other power sources that we can get, or at least at the baseline level. We're not talking about advanced power. So I'm going to go ahead and cook off the rest of that stack. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and step outside. And I'm going to show you just exactly what the Thaumometer does, how it acts, as well as what the other aspects of the Alumentium, that is the explosive aspects. It's good for mining, or at least it's good for getting dirt out of your way. It's good for well, you'll see. It won't take but a second. And it's almost dawn, thankfully, so hopefully we won't have too many monsters to kill. Alright, and we're back, and you'll notice we're outside a little bit of a ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and load up some of the Alumentium. I'm going to show you just what it can do. Okay. Now, mind you, as I said, this is really good against dirt, as you can see. It's got a short throw distance, so you got to kind of arc it a little bit. And it is really good against wood. As you can see. Now, you can't really get a good angle of view over for what we just did. So let me show you what it does. Let's get a little bit closer. As you can see, it actually does cause a fair good amount of destruction. Now I'm going to go ahead and also show you what our Thaumometer does. Now you can see, once it orients itself, it's going to start pointing to some of the stronger sources of aura, which means it is seeing the node right here between our 3 silver leaf trees. However, as we move away from that, it's going to start pointing us over towards a node over here, which is down a little ways, looks like. Now, final thing I want to show you is what how efficient the Thaumium axe is. As I said, or the Thaumium pick, as I said, it's roughly equivalent to a diamond pick. I mean, as you can see, it is just a couple hits and you're digging in. So this is actually about as good as a diamond axe or a diamond pick, probably even a little bit better, especially since you can get a you can get a repair enchant, which means it lasts you forever, as long as you don't die while you're carrying it. And also another good thing is, like I said, since you can repair enchant anything with Thaumium, that means your armor, as long as you're not actively getting killed, will last you pretty much forever as well. So that's all I wanted to cover for today. If you guys do have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you want to see more of these, like, favorite, subscribe, share it with your friends, and let me know what you think. And this has been Marius, and this has been Marius's Magery. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.